Good morning, everybody. Um, I would like to call this meeting to order, the regular board meeting for the Desert Water Agency on July 1st, 2025, here in the boardroom at 8 o'clock. For those of us that would like to participate virtually, the information to do so is shown on the agenda, which was posted last week, and the instructions are there to do so. I'd like to remind people that are here in the room, if you could silence your mobile devices while you're in the boardroom so as not to disturb us while we have the meeting. And for those that are participating virtually, if you could mute your microphones until you are recognized to call to speak during public comment or otherwise. We'll do this meeting and we'll roll call order, and we'll start with Director Grasha in terms of questions and comments. Director McKenna, Secretary Treasurer Bloomer, Vice President Bowman, and President Ortega. And all votes that we take will be conducted in roll call order. And with that, I'd like to ask Director Grasha if he'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which I stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I got one word on.
Thank you. Right. May we have the roll call, please?
Director Grasha,
Present.
Director McKenna,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Present.
Vice President Bowman,
Present.
and President Ortega,
Present.
all present.
Thank you. So we're going to take things a little bit out of order today because we have this little special action item. And we will be moving item 7A to the prior to public comment, which is typically the next item on our agenda. And with that, I would like to ask Director Sines to give the staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. So today is a very special day as we have most of our staff here at the agency in attendance. Steve Johnson, our current general manager, he began his service with Desert Water Agency on June 5th, 1995, and is retiring from his current position of general manager on July 4th, 2025. Now that's a special day, but for this nation, but it will be his personal Independence Day as well.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
With lots of fireworks, everybody's celebrating. Here at the agency, we are grateful for Steve's 30 years of dedicated service to the agency, its customers, and to the community that we serve. And with that, I will pass it off to you, Director Ortega.
Thank you. So, resolution number 1353, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Desert Water Agency granting retirement status to Steve L. Johnson. Whereas Steve L. Johnson began his service with Desert Water Agency on June 5th, 1995 as an assistant engineer in DWA's engineering department and was promoted to associate engineer on December 5th, 1998, staff engineer on August 6, 2001, operations manager on October 1st, 2004, assistant general manager on January 30th, 2016, and general manager on February 22nd, 2024, and is concluding his career in that capacity. And whereas Steve has worked continually to plan for the importation of water to replenish the aquifers and to improve the infrastructure of water mains, pumping plants, and reservoirs throughout the agency's 325 square mile service area. And whereas Steve designed and was project manager for numerous facility installations for the agency to include over 41,500 lineal feet of replacement pipeline, 4,800 lineal feet of recycled water pipeline, Palm Springs High School recycled water booster station, well pumping plants number 35, 36, 37, and 38, operations center yard expansion and solar field 1 grading plan, and the Araby Booster Low Water Roadway Crossing. And whereas Steve was instrumental in the development and structuring of the Engineering Department, Operations Department, Water Resources Department, Field Services Department, Conservation Department, and the GIS program. And whereas general manager, he worked collectively with the employees represented by the Desert Water Agency's Employees Association in negotiating salary and benefits with both the agency's and employees' best interests in mind. And whereas Steve was a valuable team member participating in agreement negotiations to provide stability and security over the future of water management and water supply in the Coachella Valley, and whereas Steve is dedicated to hiring and developing the best staff possible to oversee all areas of operation of the agency, and whereas Steve is led by example and integrity and has given employees direction, praise, and encouragement with an even-handed approach, and whereas the Desert Water Agency is deeply appreciative of the exceptional fine service that Mr. Johnson has provided, and for the efforts both seen and unseen on its behalf. And whereas Steve has consistently performed his duties meticulously and with commitment to the highest standards required, and has done so with the agency and its customers' best interests in mind, now therefore be it resolved by the Desert Water Agency Board of Directors that Steve L. Johnson is, with infinite thanks and appreciation for his 30 years of service to the Desert Water Agency and our community, hereby granted the status of retirement. It is the wish of the board that Steve spends countless years enjoying a happy and healthy retirement, for he has earned it. And before we take that vote, I would like to open the floor for public comment. As I understand, there might be a few people who'd like to have something to say. Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Hi.
Hi. Who are you?
I'm Shannon Johnson. That's my dad. I know a lot of you in here probably have heard about me, but here I am in front of you. I just want to say how proud I am of my dad. He started working here a little bit before I was born, but he has truly been an incredible role model throughout my whole entire life and has shown me all the work ethics that I use today in college, and is the reason why I am working so hard to get my degree so that I can be half of the person that he is today. I think that he leads with patience and devotion, and if I can succeed in half of the values that he has, then I would do this whole entire world a service. I am so incredibly proud to call him my father and to see how hard he's worked throughout his 30 years here. And I love you so much. And I hope you get to spend the rest of your years resting and playing pickleball. So I love you and thank you for being my father.
Would there be anyone else that would like to come forward for public comment at this time?
I don't know how anyone
Seeing
could talk.
none. Well, you, as directors, will get the opportunity at this point to make some remarks, and then we'll proceed to a vote. Director Gracia?
30 years, I've barely lived in town longer than that, which makes me realize what an excellent job this agency has always done, and it's because of guys like you, and it's why I think every board, including this one, all the way back to the first board, has always been able to find just the right person at just the right time to step into the general manager's role, and you did that for the time that you had it perfectly. And I know that in all those years, being politically involved a little bit in Palm Springs, or a lot in at some times, there was never an issue whether Desert Water Agency was out there quietly getting the work done. And I think in that amount of time that you've been here, the agency's service area population has just about doubled, if not fully doubled. And keeping up with that kind of growth and doing it without issues is one of the ways that the community will always judge an agency like this for its work. And I'm just proud to be able to sit here and tell you thank you for all that hard work and all those years. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Director McKenna?
Well, excuse me, I don't see why everyone's so happy. I'm quite worried. This is the second outbreak of general manager attachment disorder we've had in 15 months. The nature of governance of this agency is that we 5 elected people, amateurs if we're honest, sit and criticize or praise the consummate professionals on the other side of the room. And it reminded me of a quote from an American president. You know, I love quoting American presidents because they say inspirational things, or they used to anyway. Theodore Roosevelt, in 1910, said, "It is not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man or woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood." And so we look at Steve Johnson's face, and it's not marred by dust or sweat and blood, as far as we could tell. But he has been in the arena for 30 years, and it's an impressive achievement to devote a lifelong career to a single agency with this kind of dedication, integrity, honesty, and it reflects in the character of the agency itself. It's set by the person at the top, and long may it continue to be set by someone of honesty and integrity. And to say that we are thankful greatly understates it. The resolution says, "With infinite thanks," and I heartily agree with that. We are infinitely thankful for your service and appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer?
Right. I was going to prepare a really long speech, but I'll keep it simple. Just thank you for all your working together over the last 10 years since I first got on the board. Has been amazing. And I remember when you were presenting the first pipeline replacement program, when we first got it started back then. I think it was like my first meeting of the year. And then we went through a rate study, and we went through the Lake Paris seepage program, Sites Reservoir. So there's been so many great projects that you've been a champion of, along with the rest of the staff. And I think you've just been a great leader. And I know all the staff in this room respects you infinitely. And I'm sure they're all sad to see you go, as well as myself, sad to see you go, but I know you're going to have a great time. My son actually went to preschool with Shannon, was when I first met you before I got on the board. So known you a while, and best of luck in retirement and pickleball and Hawaii and all the fun things. So have a great time.
Thank you. Vice President Bowman?
Steve, 30 years is an amazing accomplishment. And you and the staff, when 3 of us were elected to come over to Desert Water Agency, you opened up the doors, you greeted us with open arms, you gave us information, you helped us see what has been happening here, and it's all been amazingly good. My heart to yours, have fun, do what you want to do, and continue with your integrity, with your honesty, and with your care for other humans. Savor this moment. I know it's hard for you to take it in, but you have lots of people that care and love for you and have appreciated your 30 years. All the best, my friend.
Thank you. Well, I don't know how much more I can add to any of that. I think between the resolution, which was quite extensive, and the comments that have been made by family and by board members, I think the thing that really stands out for me, having been on this board now for going on close to 5 years, is the people that are in this room, not just on this dais and not just at that table over there, but all the people that are in the room right now, the people that I see out when I go walking in the morning who are, addressing pipeline leaks or fixing hydrants or whatever it is, and people who I see behind the counter when I walk into the board meeting, or when I go back to talk to staff, or when we were here last week for the great big barbecue, or not barbecue, the hamburger fest. I think that is the thing that has always impressed me about this agency, is the quality of the people that work here, the passion of the people that work here. I see it every time I walk into this building. I see it when I'm in my neighborhood, and I see it today. And that's part of that is in the resolution about your involvement with development of this great group of, I don't even want to call them employees, but really great group of people that work here. And you leave a great foundation for us to continue to work on. You have a great team that you're got in place. And when we come back for our next board meeting in 2 weeks, it will be different. But I think it'll be, we're just going to be in a really good place thanks to you and the great work that's already been done. So thank you very much for your 30 years here. And thank you to your family for sparing the time, sparing your time to come here and do this job, which I think you kind of like doing. But now it's time, or almost time. So with that, I'll look for a resolution, or I'll look for a motion, sorry. I'm reading resolution here. I'll look for a motion to adopt resolution number 1353.
So moved.
All right, I'll look for a second.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. So I have a first from Director Gracia and a second from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Gracia,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Most definitely aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
If I must, I,
President Ortega.
Aye,
I'm happy to say motion passes.
unanimously. Would you like to say something? I mean, you had a chance on Thursday, but maybe not everybody was there. Okay.
So the first thing I have to say is for my daughter to be able to come up and do that took a lot for her to do that. She's not a very outgoing person, but I'm just so impressed. She made me cry. So, and President Ortega, you were saying they're non-employees. It's family. That's what we are. We're a family. And it's the people who are, behind me that are out there doing all that hard work and so forth. They make my job much, much easier. And so appreciative for everything that everyone does. And the one person I haven't gotten to thank at all is on the screen there, Mike Riddell. So Mike has taught me a lot about this agency. So thankful that we have an individual who's our attorney who has so much knowledge and who's so patient and just a steady guiding voice of reason. And I really appreciate everything that Mike has taught me while I not only when I was in engineering as the engineering manager, that's when I first got to talk to Mike, and he was always just so kind, so knowledgeable. So Mike, I know you're not here in person, but you're on screen, but just wanted to say thank you so much for all the guidance that you provided for me. And my family, and my wife, and love you. Anyways, just and thank you, board, for allowing me to be general manager. And I am in a great place. Having Esther replace me, I have so much confidence in having David and Victoria, Chris, Jamie and Priscilla, and everyone here. It just gives me calm to know what we have here. So I think that's about all I would have to say.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
No one leave.
Wait, it's got the feed down.
All the way out of the way.
Yeah,
Good
we don't need that.
Kind of come over here, Gerald?
Position yourself so you can see me. If you can't see me, then I can't see your face.
Everybody showered this morning, I think.
Take a few here. Okay, my cell phone is in the back of my bag. Does anyone have one out? I can snap one with a cell phone.
Ooh, I love the phone that might got. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're not off the clock yet. Yeah, thank you.
And it was all being recorded, so if you want.
Yeah, that's the best part. All right, back to business. More business. Well, So we move to item 4, back in order, public comment for items not listed on today's agenda. And this is the time for the public to make comments about items relevant to the work of the Desert Water Agency, but not listed on today's agenda. We ask that speakers keep their comments to no more than 3 minutes, and as provided in the Brown Act, the board is prohibited from acting on items that are not listed on the agenda today. Ms. Hoffman, have we received any public comments for items not listed on today's agenda?
No comments have been made.
Okay. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, we can move to item 5, public comments on items that are listed on today's agenda. Again, ask that you keep your comments to no longer than 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment for today's agenda? If not, we can move to item 6, which is our consent calendar. Items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by one motion of the board without discussion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a board member requests a specific item to be discussed and/or removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Are there any items on today's consent calendar that a board member would like to pull for separate discussion?
Move the item 6 consent calendar as presented.
Okay, thank you. I look for a first from Director Grasha. Look for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. First from Director Grasha, a second from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer. May we have the roll call vote, please?
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
Aye.
and President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 7B is an action item. It's a request authorization for Finance Director to execute independent contractor agreement with LM Technology Consulting. Ms. Sines.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Back in 2020, the Desert Water Agency Board Directors authorized agency staff to enter to contract for an in-depth evaluation of our IT infrastructure and provide recommendations. As a result of that in-depth discovery process, the outcome of it was an IT project roadmap to be able to better our IT infrastructure currently, as well as to bring us into the future. And due to the needs identified in that technology assessment, we engaged with the services of Ms. Lynn McIntyre to provide our IT department guidance in the form of advisory and coaching of DWA's IT staff during the implementation and adopting of those technology improvements that were defined in the IT assessment, as well as other ones that have come up along the way as new needs for the agency, such as new technologies identified, how they integrate into the agency's IT infrastructure. So that she has been assisting us with that since that time. And currently, those services are provided through Lynn McIntyre's company, LM Technology Consulting. LMT has been instrumental in planning and executing the agency's IT project roadmap, and Lynn's continued support in overseeing the agency's IT project roadmap is desired into the future by agency staff. In the past year, the IT department has completed many IT projects on that roadmap. They have worked with the agency department for new technologies, as I previously mentioned, as they are implemented and integrated and even identified. The agency has progressed in maturity over the past several years according to the NIST cybersecurity framework, and it has also onboarded a new in-house IT manager within this past several months. The current contract with Lynn McIntyre's company, LM Technology Consulting, expired yesterday on June 30th, 2025. It is staff desire to renew this contract with LM Technology Consulting for an additional 12 months with the option to renew for an additional 12 months. With the hiring and onboarding of a new IT manager, the same level of involvement of Ms. McIntyre is no longer required. So we are recommending that we reduce the amount of the contract from an average 160 hours per month to 120 to be the maximum. Also, within the previous contract, there was an on-site presence of approximately 3 days per week. And that has been reduced to just 3 days per month on average. And that contract reflects about 75% maximum of the original contract. And it's also anticipated at this time that if we do elect to renew that contract for an additional 12 months, it will be more within the 50% range. So that is what is currently anticipated at this time. As far as a prior action, on May 8th, 2023, the board authorized staff to execute an independent contractor agreement with LM Technology Consulting. The fiscal impact of this contract is approximately $360,000 to represent an approximately 21 to 28-hour work week for the duration of the 12 months of the initial term. Those costs have been included in the 25-26 budget already, and the option to renew for the additional 12-month term, if elected, will be included in the following budget. Legal counsel has reviewed the contract and statement of work, and staff recommends the Board of Directors authorize the Finance Director to execute the independent contractors agreement with LM Technology Consulting Incorporated to include the attached statement of work and additional statements of work as required. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have with regards to this contract.
Thank you. Director Grasha.
I don't have any questions.
right.
Thank you.
And Director McKenna.
Well, I do have some concerns about this. Not because Ms. McIntyre is not good at what she does. I mean, I've been very impressed with her work and by your work, Esther, on implementing this new technology. But it seems to me if we have a need for this, we're asking, I think, for an IT director to be slotted in above our IT manager. It seems to me this is something that should be a full-time position. If the IT manager is not capable of doing it, then we should be looking to hire somebody. I'm not comfortable with a contract that runs for 1 or possibly 2 years at this level of expense. Can you comment on whether we continue beyond that, or do we really need this?
As of right now, so we are looking at long-term. As far as where is the agency right now, where do we plan to be in the future? We have onboarded and hired an IT manager. An IT manager is a different level of expertise than an IT director. So it takes time to evaluate the capabilities. We hire in for one level, but then evaluate to see if that individual within that position has the capabilities of that higher level, which is oversight and strategy for the entire agency's IT, to include operational technology and what we're doing over there, which is separate from IT technology. So the IT manager does not extend into the operational technology sphere. So the IT director, this contracted position, looks over all of that and see how they work together. And so it is a different skill set. At this time, we do not believe that we need a full-time position in that capacity, but over these next 2 years, we will be able to see where we are at with our in-house staff, capabilities, additional training provided to see if we can take that on in-house or if we want to hire somebody in-house full-time. But I do believe that we need some additional time to be able to make that recommendation. And that's why within the last budget, we did not put in a request for an IT director position because we still felt that we needed some more time to evaluate. But that is not something that is off the table to be brought to you at a separate time.
Yeah, certainly if you were to hire an IT director, that would be a staff decision, that would be a general manager's decision, we wouldn't be involved. But I'm still not comfortable with this. I think it's too long a term, for sure. It's expensive. I'm not convinced that the need continues. A lot of progress has been made on this IT implementation. It's probably, 80% done.
I would say the IT project roadmap is approximately 80% done as originally defined. We still have more work to do over the next 12 months, and that's why we would be decreasing it going further. However, we have extended into the operational technology side which we have budgeted for some work to be done there, consultants and evaluating to be able to do that deep dive on the operational technology side to make sure that we are continue to be secure there as well. So that's why it is for the 12 months with the option to extend. And at that time, we would be making the evaluation, the level of involvement at that time.
I'm still worried about it, but I appreciate your answers. Thank you.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
No questions for me, thanks.
All right. Vice President Bowman.
Yeah, I have, as part of our IT committee, mentioned to you before that I believe this position should be a full-time position. And I'm trying to figure the best way to position it. This is a critical role. It is not something that is stagnant. The IT world is constantly changing. Lynn has brought to us amazing approach. My concern would be that if our IT manager that we've just hired is that person able to see a vision like she has been able to do and fulfill that. My other thought is that as not an employee, she's just a consultant, and I don't mean that in a negative way, just a consultant. But I would want us to see a level hired under your purview, casting vision, who then would execute, as opposed to having her set it up, the vision, and then bringing in somebody equally as smart, equally as talented, but now they have to figure out why did they do it that way, or we need to change. So I think this is a critical position. I would have no trouble with keeping her for a shorter period, 3 months. Something that would be able to be done, because we know this day was coming. And so those are my thoughts. I was responsible for the division-wide IT at Toshiba many years ago, and it was a different world. But the concept of IT is always evolving, and I think we need a staff member, not a consultant at the head. Do you have any response or thoughts?
Yes. I do have some thoughts with regards to that. With regards to the IT manager versus this contract position, they are very separate positions. And so it is not intended that an IT manager fills this role. Now, if it is over time, it is shown that there is the capability to be able to fill that role, that is something that that transition can happen. Or over the next, what I believe would be we would need at least 6 months to be able to continue to make that evaluation with where we are, then look at the potential of bringing in an IT director full-time. That is the progression that I would see that would need to happen, and that does take time to be able to evaluate on a broad spectrum of capabilities, because here at the agency, sometimes things just pop up. And so it takes time for us to be able to see in all situations to have that level of comfort. And so I don't think that we can make that determination right now. Now, if it is the board's desire to move to a full-time in-house IT director position, that is something that I believe that we can start that conversation internally within the next 6 months to be able to then plan for it for the upcoming budget, and that would put us at the 12-month mark. Because this stuff, it takes a lot of time to cross over to make sure that there's that transfer of knowledge as well. So it's nothing that I would want to do in a short time span, such as 3 months is pretty short from my perspective.
I was under the impression on the IT committee that we were, Lynn was working her way out of her consulting position.
Yep.
And that passed the mantle to our IT manager. And so this looks like the same thing that we've been doing.
It-
How is it different?
It is at a decreased capacity, and so we are looking to develop how we are going to scale that back and shift those things now that the IT manager has been here for approximately 3 months. So we are working on that transition plan right now and actually have a meeting later today regarding that very issue. So that we are working towards that to shift off. So training has been taking place, being able to be integrated into the agency, how it operates, the technologies that we have, working with the IT staff, ascertaining where they are, and working with the staff hands-on. So that is all that has happened to date. Now it's talking about what activities do we transition, what is able to be transitioned, what remains at that higher level director position that's necessary at that reduced capacity. And I have been very conservative with my 75% number that I've put in here. I do understand that. The desire is to continue to move off of that. That's more for contingency and safety purposes.
So my final comment would be, obviously, this is your call as the almost official GM, but quasi-official right now. The amount of money we're spending on a consultant and the amount of importance that this person has, to me, deserves a full-time person. That's my comment.
Okay, I'm going to make some comments, and then Director Groscher and Director McKenna have also requested to make additional comments. I think I heard you say, and I might just so you can correct me, but I think I heard you say you felt you needed a minimum of 6 months to make that sort of evaluation regarding the current manager position versus a director position.
Yes, 6 months before making the determination, should we now go towards bringing in an IT director full-time, or is this something that we can do in-house without making any additional staffing changes?
Do you feel that this could be something that in these next few months, you could, well, let me back up. Are you going to continue in this role as far as what I seem to be like the liaison between the agency and the consultant and the IT group? Is that still going to fall under you in the new organization?
At this point in time, I will still be the project sponsor as far as this contract goes, as I've been working with it for a long time, and we don't want to just kind of abruptly move that over to the finance director because it's taken a long time to get to this place of the understanding of kind of what's happened, where we're going. But the finance director, Jason Slough, will be coming into this and will be working side by side as far as this contract goes. And he has been starting to be integrated into that IT department, but it does take time to get up to speed. So there's a transition period.
So would this be something, if over the next few months, up to 6 months, that our technology committee could be working on with you as far as what that transition might look like? And then you could come back to the board in, say, 5 months and let us know what that looks like. I just don't feel like right now that, and I'm just reading the room up here, that there's enough support to do a year extension. So I'm trying to find something that might be in the middle that still allows a certain level of comfort for you and this agency on this project, but at the same time is something that the majority of this board can support. That's just my thought. So I'll leave it at that, and then we'll go to Director Groscher.
Well, you know, when I got here, I was very critical of this contract from the first day I think we sat here. It was first thing on our agenda, something close to it. And I agree with everything everyone has said, except that as I was reading this over the weekend, the justification for me not to have any questions came from the reality that she's providing her own retirement, which is we're not responsible for that pension benefit that if she were a full-time employee that we would be responsible for forever. And she's got to pay payroll withholding taxes out of that. And when you know all of things considered, yeah, it's a lot of money, but in reality, it's not. It's a senior level critical role, and our new IT manager is getting his feet wet and having unrealistic expectations for put on our staff, for one, to be able to accomplish the things that need to be accomplished in 6 months or 3 months, I think adds a level of stress to the work that they have to do already. That a year is, to me, reasonable. I would hate to have to leave the room today and try to figure out how I'm going to do a year's worth of work, because at the speed of light that these issues change in terms of getting into the system from different kinds of hackery out there is constant, never ending, and gives sleepless nights to anyone thinking about it. When I was reading it, the one thing that was going through my mind was, boy, if I click on the wrong link, she's going to be in big trouble. And, in reality, it's my responsibility not to click on the wrong link, or all of the other ways to gain entry into these systems, ours specifically here. I don't know if we would want to pay that kind of money to someone to attend conferences and, follow these dark web movements that are what is the basis for all of these penetrations into these systems that wreak havoc once they're in. I mean, there's been several here in the Valley. The College of the Desert got hit at least twice, maybe more. And now I'm getting the feeling that they're not even saying it when it happens. We're not even getting a full, and it causes havoc in the system. So I feel like a year, and they're probably going to want another year. But I don't have to pay her payroll taxes, and I don't have to pay her retirement. And she's, in my view, doing a good job keeping up with the emerging trends, which are emerging probably as we speak. Somebody's getting attacked. And so that's what I think.
Okay, Director McKenna.
I have to walk a fine line here between, dictating to the future general manager how they organize their staff. And I don't want to do that. But I'm not comfortable. I think, in broad terms, the reason DWA 2.0 was necessary is that this agency did not move at the same speed as the outside world. The technology we were using fell behind. That's not going to stop happening. I mean, if anything, it's accelerating. I think we need somebody in this position full time, because as artificial intelligence develops, the skill and expertise of the hackers develops, it gets more important, not less. So I would be comfortable with extending or creating a contract that lasts for 6 months while this is all thought about and examined. But 1 year, I would not support.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
Clarification. When I had said 6 months, I said I would like to be able to continue this for 6 months and then make the evaluation whether we have the capability to do that, and then an additional transition period has to happen, or a location or a recruitment of that other IT director has to happen. And so I would like at least 12 months, and remove the extension possibility for an additional year, would be my request.
Okay.
Well, I'm sticking with 6 months. I think you could come back to us in 6 months and say, this is where we are today. And if you needed a further 6 months, we'd consider it, but I will not support 1 year.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
Yeah, I'm in full support of the 12-month contract. Just what Director Sines had said, this is a big project. It's not done yet and what we set out to do. So it's finishing up the project, which is one thing, then figuring out what that full-time position looks like, then hiring that full-time position, and then training and transition and onboarding. And it doesn't sound like the IT manager would be able to onboard the new IT director. And so that would be the response. Lynn would onboard the IT director, but it's going to take 6 months to figure out what that position looks like and then hire it. And then, and finding just from knowing the talent pool here in the Coachella Valley, I don't know if the IT director exists here. So, it's going to be a tough position to fill, and I would hate to not have Lynn here to onboard the person. So I'm in full support of the 12 months.
All right, although Vice President Bowman did not select on the request to speak, it looks like he would like to say something, like everybody else did.
Yes. First of all, I want us to understand, I think you see we're behind this idea, and we're just saying accelerate it. That's the good news. Nobody's saying this is not a good idea. And so it's a matter of timing. And I will default to you, the GM, and say, if that's what you think you need, then that's the support. But I think what you're hearing from the board is we say accelerate it and bring this person on. Had we hired Lynn way back in the day, we wouldn't even be having this discussion, but she probably didn't want to be hired here. So there's got to be someone else out there. So I hope you take this as all as constructive, not as a negative, because what you have done to bring her in and change the environment of, from grid sheets to internet stuff is a real good thing. So we're behind it.
Okay.
And so I will defer you as the GM. If you want a year, let's do it. But let's accelerate it as fast as possible.
All right, so at this point, I'll look for a motion.
I'll move the staff recommendation as presented.
All right, and I'll look for a second.
I'll second.
All right, I have a first from Director Grasha and a second from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
No.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
As I said, I support you with an eye.
and President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion
Right.
passes 4-1.
Thank you. All right, we can move to 7C, which is the request adoption of resolution number 1354, updating signers for U.S. bank accounts. Mr. Slough.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. Before you, you have Resolution 1354, which updates authorized signers for U.S. Bank. Due to the upcoming retirement of General Manager Steve Johnson, the promotion of Esther Sines to General Manager, Jason Slough to Finance Director, and the hiring of Gary Michaels as Accounting Supervisor, it is necessary to update the signers on the agency's bank accounts. So with the adoption of this resolution, the updated signers would be all members of the board, as well as General Manager Sines, Assistant General Manager Tate, Finance Director Slough, and Accounting Supervisor Michaels. Of course, anytime we do change the authorized signers, we have to do so through a resolution. The last resolution to update signers was on May 21st of 2024. This resolution has no fiscal impact, has not been reviewed by legal. So at this time, staff recommends adoption of resolution number 1354. Upon adoption of this reference resolution, a certified copy will be provided to U.S. Bank in order for them to update the agency's bank accounts. Any questions?
Director Grasha, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right, Director McKenna?
I have none. I wonder, could we take all of these resolutions as a package? There are 4 of them, rather than voting separately, just vote on all of them.
We'll look to you.
The next packet of resolutions, they are different than this one. This one's individual and specific and has different signers. It's specific to the bank accounts. The other ones are all a part of, the next action item is all a part of our investment resolutions, and those will be taken as one entire package.
Yeah, I do see that, but I think we could vote for them all at once. I don't know, it's up to you.
Well, I think we can proceed as recommended by staff. So Secretary Treasurer Bloomer?
Aye.
Oh, do you have any questions?
No,
You-
no questions, obviously.
None from me.
All right, my question would be, does this become effective July 4th, since those title changes don't happen until then?
Yes, that's our intention for it to become
Yes,
effective
okay.
July 4th.
So we're voting on it today with it becoming active or effective?
July 4th, yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right. All right, so I'll look for a motion,
I
please.
move item 7C, Resolution 1354, as presented.
All right.
I'll second.
First from Director Grasha, second from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
Aye.
President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 7D, request adoption of resolution number 1355, 1356, 1357, and 1358, updating signers for investment accounts. Mr. Slough.
Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to the updated signers for the U.S. bank accounts, we also have to update the signers for the investment accounts. So you have resolutions 1355, 1356, 1357, and 1358 for each of the investment firms that we deal with: Alamo Capital, Piper Sandler, Stifel, and U.S. Wealth Management. These updates are required due to the aforementioned retirement and promotions. Kind of one change in these resolutions: the signers on the accounts will be Board President Ortega, Secretary Treasurer Bloomer, General Manager signs, Assistant General Manager Tate, Finance Director Slough, and Accounting Supervisor Michaels. Upon adoption of this resolution, certified copies will be mailed to each of the individual investment firms for them to update the accounts. Sorry, I don't have the prior action on this, but we probably would have updated signers around the last time that we updated the U.S. bank accounts. This resolution has no fiscal impact, has not been reviewed by legal. So at this time, staff recommends adoption of resolutions 1355, 1356, 1357, and 1358. And at this time, I would take any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Director Grasha, do you have questions?
No questions.
Director McKenna?
None from me.
Okay. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer, none. Vice President Bowman, none. None from me. So I'll look for a motion, please.
I move item 7D, Resolution 1355, 1356, 1357, 1358, as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
First from Director Grasha, a second from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer. May we have the roll call vote, please?
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
Aye.
and President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 8, we have a couple of public hearings coming up. So, let's see, I'm just reviewing the comments here. So item 8A, and this is the time and place set for the public hearing on the report on public health goals. And I will ask our lab director, Paul Monroe, to come forward, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak on this topic. As to me is one of the most important things that we do here at Desert Water Agency is providing good, clean water for our public. So in our public health goals, we conduct this report every 3 years, and this is going to be for January of 2022 to December of 2024. Under the California Health and Safety Code, Section 116470B, we prepare this report due July of 2025, and it compares the agency's water quality to the public health goals and maximum contaminant level goals that are set by the EPA and by the California Drinking Water Standards. Public health goals have been established by the California Environmental Protection Agency's Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, also known as OEHA, and the maximum contamination level goals have been established by the United States Environmental Protection Agency and are federally equivalent to public health goals. Public health goals and MCLGs are not enforceable standards and no action is required to meet them. The agency's water system complies with all the health-based drinking water standards and maximum contamination levels required by the Division of Drinking Water and the US EPA. Throughout the 3-year reporting period, 2022 to 2024, there were 4 constituents found at levels that exceeded the public health goal or the maximum contamination level goals. The 4 constituents are PCE, so also known as tetrachloroethylene, has a public health goal of 0.06 part per billion and an MCL of 5 parts per billion. The DWA level that was detected, the maximum level in those 3 years was 0.85 parts per billion. This contaminant originally came from I believe it was a spill of a dry cleaner facility at the location close to our well 32. This is currently managed by the Regional Water Quality Control Board. We are required to continuously monitor it every year. And as of 2024, the last test that we took, we actually got a non-detect for that constituent. For uranium, we have a public health goal of 0.43 picocuries per liter with an MCL of 20 picocuries per liter, where DWA had a hit for one of the wells at 16 picocuries per liter. We've actually had hits in all of our wells for uranium at some level due to naturally occurring rock formations from the granite in our aquifer. We also got 2 hits for PFOA and PFOS, so perfluoral octanoic acid and perfluoral octanoic sulfonic acid. These are a part of the PFAS constituents that we detected or we measured in 2024. PFOA has a public health goal of 0.007 nanograms per liter, which is in parts per quadrillion, and a MCLG of 0. So ideally, the EPA wants to see 0 coming from all of the wells. We had a hit at 1.9 nanograms per liter for PFOA, with the MCL being 4 nanograms per liter. And for PFOS, the public health goal is 1 nanogram per liter and a maximum contamination level goal of 0 nanograms per liter. The MCL, 4 nanograms per liter, we had a hit in exceedance of that level of 5.5 nanograms per liter. And this is all coming from one well, well 26. All of our other wells were below the required reporting limit for that. So overall, the removal for these constituents, we're looking at possibly using a reverse osmosis system to treat at each point of entry for the wells with a capital cost per site of $2.75 million. That would be per well that we would require treatment, and a yearly operation and management of $42,500 for that. Our recommendations, DWA does meet all federal and drinking water standards set to protect public health, and further reduction of the constituents is not justified. The effectiveness of additional techniques and the projected health benefits are not clear or quantifiable. As Desert Water Agency is a not-for-profit public agency, all of its treatment costs are borne by its customers, and no action is proposed at this time. In accordance with this requirement of the Health and Safety Code, California Safe Drinking Water Act of 1996, SB 1307, a public hearing must be held. The purpose of the public hearing is to allow the board to accept and respond to public comments on the report. The public hearing notice was posted and published in the Desert Water Agency lobby and outside on the outside bulletin board. The public record on June, and also on the public record on June 10th, 2025. As of 5 p.m., June 26, 2025, no written or verbal comments were received from the public. Other than conducting the hearing, no action is required with respect to the report. Staff will notify the Division of Drinking Water to make them aware that the hearing took place. The fiscal impact is none currently. Based on the report recommendations, there are no fiscal impacts to the agency at this time, and it was reviewed by Director Sains for this impact. Again, recommendations, staff requests that the Board of Directors receive and file this report. If there's any questions or any background information that you guys have, I'll gladly answer.
Well, before we do that, I'm going to invite the public to provide input.
Okay.
Ask that public comment be limited to no more than 3 minutes. And is there anyone in the room or online who would like to make comments at this point during this public hearing? Seeing none, we can close the public hearing portion and we can move to board discussion and deliberation. And we'll start with Director Gracia.
Could we roll back to the part where it talked about the dry cleaners? I think that was in that one graph that had right there. Is that the first one, the PCE?
Yes, tetrachloroethylene.
And did I hear you say that it is reading at 0 now?
The current test that we did in 2024, we had a non-detect, so less than 0.5 parts per billion.
Is that at the well site where?
Correct, yeah, it's at the well site.
And piecing together the rumors that I've heard from various, mostly Facebook posts, I think, that dry cleaners, I believe, was located where what is now a vacant building that used to be the Kentucky Fried Chicken and the A&W Root Beer, I believe. And they have some kind of remediation site there on that property. Does that sound like the right spot to you?
I'm not too familiar. I don't know if you guys, it's close to well 32.
Yes, you're correct. So that's the Meters Cleaners is located where the
Right.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It used to be there. They've moved. They're still in business. I believe they've moved. It doesn't really matter, but the original site where the contamination took place, I believe, is where that A&W was.
Yeah.
And then, so the plume, if you will, drifted toward the well, which is on.
So that's Sunrise and Sunny Dunes?
Sonny, well, I was thinking in the industrial area around
Oh,
where?
well 6.
Is that?
So
is that the-
initially, the PCE made us take well 6 out of service, and so it's continued to be out of service.
Right. But is that well still usable? I mean, could you turn it back on someday?
Well 6 with remediation for the PCE. So, but we elected not to do that.
Right.
Other wells to use.
But it hasn't been abandoned or taken out of service or filled in, or it's still?
No, the well is still there.
Yeah.
It's usable if we'd like to.
And at this level, it could be put back in service or not?
So that's well 6. The tests were conducted at well 32, which is still in service. So
Okay.
well 30.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So well 6 was the initial well site, which is, I don't know, less than a quarter mile away from Meters Cleaners.
Right.
And down directly, sort of quote unquote, downstream. And then well 32 is probably 2 to 3 miles from Meters Cleaners.
All right.
So it's just showing up. Meters Cleaners, the problem arose in the early 90s.
And does anybody recall what the high numbers were at that site that's now at non-detect? I just find that fascinating that either the plume is moving or it's dissipated and petering out.
Well, so for well 32, the detection limits have been between about 0.5 parts per billion, which is right at the detection limit for the compound. And the highest that I've seen since I've been here is about 0.8 parts per billion. So part of it could be that if it dipped below 0.5, so if it read 4.5, something like 0.45, we would get a non-detect from the laboratory, but it could still be at that lower level in the water. But we would not be able to detect it well below 0.5 parts per billion.
And the regional board did do quite a bit of remediation around that site. They
Yeah.
put in air sparge wells, and they've been, for lack of a better term, vacuuming out the contaminant level because it's a volatile for 20 plus years.
They have in one of their garbage can enclosures is a vent tube. And I understand that's part of what, I just, I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, so from what I read with the regional board, they believe they collected the vast majority of the PCE that was, because they have bill of lading for how much was used at the cleaners, and they know how much they vacuumed out with air sparge wells. So they think they're really close to that number.
So somebody someday going to declare it's safe again? Or, I mean, I know when this happened, it must have just had the whole town, worked up pretty heavy to lose a well. And how far could this travel? Could it take them all out? I mean, I just can't imagine all the aggravation that must have caused to come to this point. And it's like, oh, it's almost over.
So I think that'd be the regional board. They'll let us know. This is litigation involved with it.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks for putting up with the questions.
Okay, Director McKenna.
When this arrived in my inbox, I went, oh no, I have to read all this. But I find it really interesting. I've been focused for a long time on chromium-6, and I discovered in reading these reports that there are other worse compounds out there, like the TCEs. And so it has broadened my education and my focus on this, and I appreciate it. And I very much appreciate that you put your phone number in the water quality report. And I will, look forward to hearing what happens. Thanks.
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
No questions for me, thank you.
Right. And Vice President Bowman.
None from me.
And none from me. So with that, I'll look for a motion to approve staff's recommendation accepting the report on the public health goals.
What?
I'll look for
Motion?
a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
To receive and file the report on public health goals.
Thank you. I have a first
Second.
I have a first from Secretary Treasurer Bloomer and a second from Director Grasha. And may we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
Aye.
and President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, second public hearing, item 8B. So this is the time and place for a public hearing on the request adoption of ordinance number 79, establishing compensation and reimbursement for expenses for directors. And with that, I'll ask Accounting Supervisor Slough to present his report.
Thank you, Mr. President. A little bit of background. On July 2nd of last year, the board adopted ordinance number 78, which established board compensation for a day of service at $425.61. Beginning in 2020, staff began performing an annual board compensation and benefit survey review that is then presented to the Finance Committee in conjunction with the budget. The Finance Committee then makes a recommendation to bring it forward to the full board for discussion and consideration. So back on May 21st of 2025, the Finance Committee reviewed this year's board compensation and benefits survey. While they did not make a recommendation whether to propose an increase, they did have it brought forth to the full board. On June 3rd, 2025, the full board discussed increasing the rate of pay for the board directors by 2.6%, which is the same COLA adjustment received by all employees of the agency. This increase would result in a new daily rate of $436.68. According to the California Water Code section 2202, an increase may not exceed 5% for each calendar year following the last adjustment. And according to Water Code section 2203 and Government Code section 6066, staff did publish a notice of public hearing in the Public Record newspaper on June 10th and June 17th. So if adopted today, this ordinance will become effective on October 1st, 2025, which is a minimum of 60 days after the adoption date in accordance with California Water Code section 2204, where the rate increase does not exceed 5% in the calendar year since the last adjustment, which was September 30th of 2024. Previously, last year on July 2nd, ordinance number 78 was adopted. The fiscal impact of this resolution and the 2.6% increase would be approximately $6,300, which has been included in the 25-26 budget. Legal has not reviewed this report. And so at this time, staff recommends that the Board of Directors first open the public hearing to present the report and to receive public testimony and comments. And then following the public hearing, if the board desires to increase the rate of pay by Board of Directors for each day of service to $436.68, staff recommends that the board adopt ordinance number 79.
Thank you. And with that, I'll open the public hearing on this item. If there are any members of the public who would like to speak. Seeing none, we can close the public hearing and we can move to discussion. Director Gracia.
For anybody that cares, I looked up our how much money we earn each. It's available on the internet. It's quite a fun read. I'm $6,000 below what a first-year employee at McDonald's would be. So I'm good with what is that, a $10 a meeting increase? So I would, when you're ready, move that we approve the staff recommendation.
Director McKenna.
No questions?
All right. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
No questions.
All right. And Vice President Bowman.
None from me.
All right. So with that.
I move staff recommendation.
All right. First from Director Gracia. For a second.
I'll second that.
All right. First from Director Gracia, second from Director McKenna. And may we have the roll call vote, please?
Director Gracia,
Aye.
Director McKenna,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Bloomer,
Aye.
Vice President Bowman,
Aye.
and President Ortega.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Right, we can move to item 9, which is our general manager's report. Director Sines, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. So within the general manager report today, we want to provide you a status update on the Sites Reservoir project. Just recently, the Sites Reservoir project released their kind of year in review for 2024, and attached are some of the highlights. So the Sites Project Authority, within those highlights, were environmental compliance. The project successfully defended legal challenges to the final EIR, and the court has affirmed full compliance with CEQA. With regards to permitting, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife issued the incidental take permits, which we previously reported to the board in previous general manager reports. And also, with regards to the permits, the State Water Resources Control Board has begun the proceedings regarding the critical water right permit. The project design is approximately at 30% design for all Sites Reservoir project facilities. The Sites project has initiated first of many land purchases in 2024, which is a key step towards construction readiness, and continues to pursue purchasing more parcels. Contractor selection. The Sites Authority has launched the selection process for the construction manager at risk, or CMAR, for dams and reservoir package, and this project delivery method has been selected, where the construction manager gets involved during the design process and then ultimately takes on responsibility for the maximum price not to exceed. And so that is a cost limiting strategy of the project. For federal funding, an additional $272 million in 2024 was secured, for a total of approximately $517.15 million of federal funding for Sites project. There has been a strong and broad participation within the project also, and evidence of that is 16 new agencies have expressed interest in joining the project, reflecting the growing support and demand. And so what happens with those agencies is they have been placed on a waiting list for when capacity becomes available as we near closer to a final commitment date that will be opening, the period opening here at the end of this calendar year and extending into the mid-calendar of next year, where home boards of the current participants will make their final determination. That is a time where capacity may be opened up or released from those participating parties, and will go to these following 16, along with the federal government as well, because they have expressed the Bureau of Reclamation has expressed a certain amount of interest, up to, I think, 16% of the project. So now what comes next? For 25 and 26, we have the contractor selection. So the goal is to, by late 2025, so here within the next 6 months, select that CMAR contractor. And the design and cost projections, we are moving from the preliminary design stage, where we currently are at 30% design, and we're getting more into the detailed design phase, which off of that more detailed design is an updated cost estimate that will be provided to participating agencies. And the real estate acquisitions will continue as well. So for Desert Water Agency, on Friday, July 4th, in celebration of General Manager Steve Johnson's retirement, we are all taking the day off, and for Independence Day. Emergency Power Continuity Project Federal Funding Update. So in late February and early March 2025, the agency staff has submitted an emergency power continuity project for community project funding for congressionally directed spending for consideration to its full federal delegation. So we have submitted our project, which is for funding for generators for strategic sites, well sites within the agency. In the case of a widespread power outage, we can still maintain pressure within our systems. And with that, we have been, that was provided to Representatives Calvert and Ruiz, as well as Senator Padilla and Schiff. And we are pleased to share that Senator Alex Padilla has selected DWA's projects as one of his requests to be submitted to the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Interior, Environment, and Related Agencies for fiscal year 2026. The next step, so that is not, we are not, it has not been awarded to us, but we have made it past the first major hurdle. The next step for this is for the subcommittee to select DWA's project for inclusion in its appropriations bill. The final funding is ultimately dependent on that inclusion of DWA's request in the Interior, Environment, and Related Agencies Appropriation Bill, and whether Congress passes an actual appropriations package this year in lieu of continuing resolutions. Continuing resolutions do not include these projects. And also, and just for a reminder, in fiscal year 25, it was funded under that continuing resolution, which did not include any of these congressionally directed spending. So the hope is that they do adopt a full appropriations package so that it can be included if selected. Moving on to our 2025 water quality report. As a lab director was here earlier providing the public hearing on our water quality for the previous years, it was also within the packet, our water quality report for 2024 that was issued here just a few weeks ago. And that report is available on our website. That report is also known as the Consumer Confidence Report, which is required by the state and must be available to customers by July 1st, which ours was. It provides the transparent information about our drinking water rights and highlights the testing and monitoring that DWA conducts to ensure our customers' water is safe. Customers were also notified by postcards and bill inserts, and that is available online, as well as we have hard copies here in the agency. If someone would like one, they can either call and request one, we'll mail it to them, or they can come and pick one up. And as we are all aware of the retirement that happened, we did celebrate with staff here at the agency on Thursday, June 26th. And we had an on-site luncheon, which all the board members were in attendance, and we greatly appreciate your attendance there to celebrate with all of the staff for Steve's 30 years of service to Desert Water. And it
was a great lunch.
Very good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Moving on to system leaks. Over the course of the last reporting period, which is the last 2 weeks from June 10th to June 23rd, we experienced 40 leaks. So this is about the same level as it was the last time we had this leak report. Still, because of the change in temperatures, however, I kind of have preliminary information that it's now on the downward trend. So we look forward to seeing a little bit less leaks as we settle into the hotter months. And moving on to, we now have a new addition to the general manager's report where we are trying to just make things a little bit more consistent. The Director of Public Affairs and Conservation, her items used to be included in the other staff report that had her specific items with the rest of the department's activities. And so we've split that out, placed them in here, and with that, I'll pass it off to Director Lort to provide a few highlights.
Great, thank you, Director Sines. Good morning, President Ortega and members of the board. Clearly not going to go through this one by one, it's quite the list, but just some quick highlights. As you can see, there are a few different legislative meetings. We have bi-weekly meetings with our state and federal advocates, as you'll see here. Also attended the monthly DVBA legislative meeting, as well as the Greater Coachella Valley Chambers legislative meeting and Aqua Region 9's legislative meeting. which happens before the Aqua State Ledge Committee meeting, of which I am part of the Aqua Committee for State Ledge and attend those calls. Also, you'll see that there are NWRA federal affairs related calls as well. So it's very ledge forward. Other projects here, just want to highlight other things that we're working on. Had quite a few meetings with staff, the conservation team on the non-functional turf ordinance. Had a few different conservation meetings. As you know, we also had the Making Conservation a California Way of Life board workshop. Also, June was very settlement heavy. There was a lot of conversations with the other PIOs, as well as getting ready for the legislative lift there. And then getting ready to launch our RFP for a refreshed DWA website that also adheres to the upcoming ADA requirements that go into place January 1st, 2026. And that is all that I have for the report. Thank you.
Okay, now moving on to the general manager's meetings and activities. So over the past couple weeks, I've attended the State Water Contractor monthly meetings and board meetings, as well as strategic planning meetings here at the agency with department heads as we near closer to the end of that project. We also the Sites Reservoir board meeting. And just this last week, we had our quarterly general managers meeting. That is a quarterly meeting with Desert Water Agency, Coachella Valley Water District, and Mission Springs Water District, as well as staff are involved with that meeting as well, providing updates from the agencies, a lot about deliveries, well levels, and other key activities that are helpful to share between the districts. We also had the executive committee meeting this last Thursday, and also an IT department executive update was provided to executive management, and that brings us today for our bi-monthly board meeting. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Director Grasha, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right, Director McKenna.
I have a request for next meeting, and that is, I spend a lot of time on the slopes of San Jacinto, and I see the whitewater replenishment facility very full of water right now. So I'd be interested in getting a breakdown of how much water has gone in this year and how much has gone to the Mission Creek facility for next time. Thanks.
Okay. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer.
No questions. Thank you.
And Vice President Bowman.
None from me.
All right, nothing else from me. Thank you. We'll move to item 10, Director's Reports on meetings and events attended on behalf of the agency. And we'll start with Director Grasha.
Kind of a busy couple of weeks. I started out on June 18th with a Aqua-sponsored webinar that was put on by a group called WELL 2025, which was Water Education for Latino Leaders. I wonder, well, what are you doing there? Well, it was being moderated by a councilman from Indio, who's currently running for the state assembly. And I know that this is an active group in the water industry for the last probably 4 years. Castillo Estrada started this group, and it very active in various parts of how is it a councilman from India running a meeting about water throughout the state? Well, there's an example. So then on the Desert Valley Builders Association legislative meeting was held on the 9th. No, that's not right. Let me get that right. Desert Valley Builders Association membership party was held at the Palm Springs Air Museum, and it was heavily attended by public officials, as heavily attended event as I've probably ever been to. Had a unique opportunity to spend about an hour with Assemblyman Gonzalez, who represents the Coachella Valley in the California State Assembly, sat next to him, and it was quite an exchange. Also, there was the young lady that regained her seat on the College of the Desert Board, Mary Jane Sanchez, and got a chance to talk to a couple other people that are heavily involved in our community politically, and I thought it was a pretty good event for us to be a part of. Now, where am I? Emerging strategies to build and retain your water workforce. This was put on by, this was on June 20th. It was an Aqua event that was an Aqua event that also was sponsored by Aqua. They're starting a new series. This was their first in the new series that will be actually led by Aqua people, I guess. And we passed on every point they tried to make. This agency's probably been doing everything forever. And it almost felt like they discovered oil or something. And we know that there's always been a right way and a wrong way to do things, and we're lucky that this agency's always picked the right thing. And it's nothing new when you measure yourself or your agency against other agencies' work. It's always good to know that you're doing it right. On the 24th was the Coachella Valley Water District meeting. We had talked about here at our meeting about recharge at our last meeting. And at that meeting on the same day, later in the afternoon, they approved another recharge facility that they're going to build, which is adjacent to one of their wastewater treatment facilities in the channel. So they're going to block the channel's flow, I guess build a breakable dam on both sides and fill it up. I guess it's one of that. I can't imagine the constant worry that you would have. It's gonna be built so that when there's a rain event, that it will, and I say hopefully because they're convinced, and if they are, I'm convinced as well, that when it rains and the wash starts flowing, it will break away these dams that they're going to build and allow the flow to continue down to the Salton Sea. It's in the Whitewater Channel, and this is down in Palm Desert around, I think it's what they call Warp 10, which is a water sewer treatment plant. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. They approved the consultant, that they're going ahead with it. That's going to happen. And that was on the 17th. So that was on the same day as one of our board meetings. And so it's not compensatable, but where am I here? June. Oops. Oh, Steve's party, that's not compensatable either. And then another fascinating event was, I say fascinating, 5 years of Central Valley water quality progress. This had a lot to do. We can measure their problems with potentially future problems for us here in the Coachella Valley. That's what, and I was right in wanting to attend that meeting. They're going to send out a link if anybody wants to see it. I recommend it. It's about controlling salts in the Central Valley. And due to their reliance on imported water, which brings massive amounts of salt into, and which is, made the water undrinkable for families. They're delivering water, bottled water to homes so people can, it's a problematic situation down there that we need to be aware of, because every decision we make inches us closer to that potential here in our own valley. And that was on the 30th. And I believe that takes us to today. Yes, July 1st.
All
Happy
right.
retirement.
Thank you. Director McKenna?
I will be much more brief.
Well, it's just, you know.
The only thing I attended was General Manager Johnson's retirement lunch in the parking lot, and it was really fabulous event. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Secretary Treasurer Bloomer?
On June 19th, I also attended the Desert Valley Builders Association membership event at Palm Springs Air Museum. And on June 24th, I don't think this is compensable, but I introduced Clark to make a presentation at my Rotary Club, and he did a great job, and he got lots of questions at the end, so it was a great presentation. And that is it.
All right, thank you. Vice President Bowman?
Yes, on the 19th, I also attended the DVBA membership gathering. And what I appreciated, among other things, is that that night they were supporting women in the building industry. And I go, way to go. On the 24th, we had our Desert Water Agency and MSWD Executive Ad Hoc Committee. Had a wonderful breakfast with their President Ivan Sewell and Vice President Robert Griffith. And I think it was one of our more productive as we've met with these guys, and the communication lines keep getting more and more free and open. I attended the Agua Caliente Water Authority Board on the 25th, and I found it interesting because their staff is presented to their board information on the wells that the tribe has on trust land, fee land, and looking at data gaps in the gathering of that data where they would like to perhaps put other wells to monitor the water quality and things of that sort. They also approved their proposed budget for 2026, which I found fascinating. And on the 26th, I attended the executive committee here, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Additional meetings outside of the Water Agency, as Vice President Bowman has already mentioned, included the meeting last Tuesday on the 24th with our counterparts from the Mission Springs Water District, and I agree it was probably the most productive of those meetings. Quite frank and open conversation, and that was it. So with that, we can now move to item 11, which would be director's comments and requests. And I'll start with Director Gracia, please.
I have no comments and no requests. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director McKenna?
I have none.
All right. Secretary Blumen?
I have none.
None. And Vice President Bowman?
One final comment to Steve. Congrats, buddy. And it's been a privilege to get to know you and to serve with my fellow directors as you have serviced the Desert Water Agency.
All right. I think all I really have to add is, since we will be coming back after the closed session, but since most people won't be here, I'll wish everyone a happy Independence Day this coming Friday, and look forward to also welcoming our new general manager on that same day to her role, and our new finance director on that same day in his new role. And with that, we can move into closed session. I see it's about 9:45. If we could meet in the boardroom at 9:55 for closed session. Thank you, everybody.
Recording.
Great. Well, welcome back into open session. And I can report that we did not take any reportable action in closed session. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.